Hello, everyone. This is Howard Fox, and welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series, the podcast that celebrates individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Helena Guglielmino is our guest today. Helena is a freelance writer who specializes in stories about the outdoors, sustainability, travel, and culture. She has been featured in Reno News and Review, Outdoors Unlimited, Wide Open Spaces, Broccoli Mag. That's cool because I love broccoli, and more. Now, Helena was a recipient of the 2022 Toyota Let's Go Places Scholarship and is a former intern with the Outdoor Writers Association of America. Helena, it's a pleasure to see you again. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, it's good to see you too. It's been a while.
It has been quite a while. I mean, the OWAA's annual conference in Casper was my second conference, and it seems like so long ago. And I remember chatting with you and the other intern there was like some type of historical like museum of sort in Casper. I remember we were touring around and you two were standing at one of these cocktail tables, and I just walked up and said hi, so I do remember you from that. So a lot has gone on since 2022. So catch us up a little bit. Freelance writer, author. I don't think I had mentioned it yet, but you actually just literally published a new book this past year, Urban Trails, Reno, and I would love to hear more about that. So I imagine you've been busy. So
Yeah.
catch us up. What have you been up to?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been kind of crazy. I think starting with OWAA and working with them for a year and coming out of that, that's when I really started dedicating time to being a freelance writer and
Mhm.
writing about the outdoors. Yeah. And since then just kind of taken off and have really come to love writing about hiking and digging into local trails and sustainability in that way, how we can connect trails, how trails are so important for the community. That's featured a lot in my writing since then. And I feel so fortunate to live in a place like Reno where the local network of trails is growing and it's being actively invested in, and it's so accessible, so accessible. So yeah, I love living in a place where I can get on a trail within 15 minutes of my house in any direction and feel like I'm in complete wilderness. It's
I
amazing.
love that. And I always share on my episodes because I interview a lot of destinations, of which right now I'm doing a project for the Carson Valley, which is not that far from Reno. And I always jokingly say I'm always looking for my next place to live. And when I have been having conversations with folks who are up in your area, I definitely feel like this could be a great place to live because I love to get outside. I'm not an extreme hiker of any sort, but the connection between our mental health, physical health, emotional health, and just being out in nature and taking advantage of it, there's a huge connection there. And so this idea that you just share these trails are within mere minutes of your location. That's pretty special. Very special.
And yeah,
So,
yeah. I have lived in Reno since about 2018 and moved down from Tahoe, which I had
okay.
lived for 4 years just to finish my degree.
Mhm.
And I wasn't very excited about moving there
Okay.
when I first came down, and I talk about that a little bit in my hiking guide and urban trails, in the introduction, but, I feel so fortunate. I think it gets overshadowed a lot by Tahoe and by the higher elevation, forested areas
Mhm.
around the lake, but there's so much that the immediate area offers, and then there's so much access. I mean, you're only a couple hours away from Mammoth, from Yosemite, at least in the summer months. Tahoe is right there. I can get to
Hmm.
Mount Rose, which is right behind you in your background there.
All right.
That's a resort within like 30, 35 minutes of my house. So the access is really incredible. And you don't really have to shovel.
I like that, and at my age, I shouldn't be shoveling anyways. But it it just seems like you've got fresh air, you have open trails, and I think if you like water based activities, if you like trail based activities, birding, if you want to play golf or go in those four wheel or those laser bikes or trucks or cars, whatever you call them, you can
Yeah.
do that. There's just a huge variety that it seems to be available in this area of Reno and the surrounding areas. You mentioned finishing up school. Remind me and for our listeners, where did you go to school? What was your major?
Yeah, so I went to the school that I went to no longer exists. It was called Sierra Nevada College, and it was located in Incline Village, which is on the Nevada side of North Shore Tahoe. And I went and finished a degree in marketing. Yeah. And yeah, kind of chose marketing, rushed into school after high school and chose marketing because it was a creative thing that I thought I might like. Ended up taking a journalism class in my last semester and realizing like, "Oh, I actually might like this one a little bit more." But yeah, ended up just wanting to get out of there and graduating as fast as possible. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. What was your what I would call your aha moment coming out of school, interning at the OWAA, and the benefits of that experience? What was that aha moment for you of like, this is what I want to do next for my career and feel really good about it?
Yeah, I think I tend to be a person that sort of tiptoes into situations. So,
Mhm,
like I said, having that journalism class in my last semester of school, um, was I think the initial spark of like, "Oh, this is something really cool."
mhm,
And then after school, that next winter, I actually took 6 months off and built a little bed in the back of my Subaru and took my dog, and we went and we traveled and hit all of the ski resorts from here to Colorado up into BC, Canada. And across that experience, we started writing about that and
okay,
started realizing like, "Oh, this is really cool." I feel really connected to, like, sharing stories like this,
okay,
um and so then, yeah, slowly easing into it and finding those opportunities. I think 2020 was a catalyst. I lost
mhm,
my marketing job in 2020,
mm,
unfortunately, and I think it was a catalyst of, like, what comes next, and
mhm,
maybe let's make this one, like, a very intentional move into something that really fits with what I want in life. So I found the OWAA internship and, really loved working, with Suzanne, as part of that internship and just how welcoming and warm the organization was, really felt like, "Oh, this could be something that is a career for
mhm.
me." And so I think it kind of took off from there, and then, um, yeah, I've just been enjoying the opportunities that have come by my way, and I love getting to dig really deep into stories that I find interesting and topics that I find interesting. And while I focus a lot on the outdoors and that sort of sustainability side, getting to write about just really fun things that I find interesting.
Okay. You mentioned Subaru, and in the spirit of full disclosure, I bought a new car when I moved from Chicago to Las Vegas, where I'm at, and I bought a Subaru Crosstrek, a cherry red one. It's affectionately known as Subarubi. But did did you which model of the Subaru do you have?
That car was a Forester, '06
Oh,
Forester. So it
okay.
had the flat hatchback on it. It was a little cramped for sure. I'm 5'9", so I was able to lay fully out in the back of it, but it was a little cramped, especially with the dog.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, that car died a couple years ago, but I've now advanced to a 2014 Subaru Forester, so
Okay. Hopefully a
keeping
little
the
bit
spirit
bigger.
alive.
Okay. Your faithful companion, the dog, what kind of dog?
She's a lab border collie mix, so she's about 50 pounds. She's 11 now, and she's super, super active still. She was doing 7, 8-mile hikes with me over the
Okay.
summer in the Eastern Sierra.
Okay.
She loves snow and hiking and water.
Perfect companion. I love that.
Yeah.
So as you stepped away from your internship at the OWAA and you started to explore this idea of writing and especially finding topics that are of interest to you, and you mentioned sustainability. What was that journey for you like of, okay, now I need to find content to write. How did you decide what you wanted to write about versus what you didn't want to write about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's honestly something I still struggle with a little bit because there is a part of it that's I mean, it's a job, like, you have to make money. So,
Yeah. Okay.
there are some things that feel like like content to me that I
Mhm.
write, but I think eh, I'm not sure. That's a tough question, honestly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there are plenty of stories that I've pursued personally that are sitting in a Google Drive folder that might not ever see the light of day,
Okay.
and I think yeah, building those relationships with publishers and editors is really important, and
Sure.
understanding the content that they need to engage their audience is really important, so
Okay.
even things that even topics that I like to write are sometimes skewed a little bit
Okay.
towards that.
What have you written and has been accepted by the publication that you realize this is this is my niche. This is my sweet spot. Do you feel like you in some way have hit that target right now, or is that target a little bit more elusive and it's going to come?
I think there's some I think so I write the monthly outdoor column for Reno News and Review, and
Okay.
my editor there, I've worked with her for a couple years now, and she gives me free rein to write what I wanna write, basically,
Okay.
which is really nice. So that does give me a lot of freedom to explore, um, different types of ways of talking about the outdoors in the area from,
Hmm.
like, local geology and recent studies to I wrote an article about the Doge cuts and how that was gonna affect, national parks like Death Valley. Then also working on a guide right now to, like, learning how to cross country ski, stuff
Hmm.
like that. So I do love having that sort of freedom to explore, and I think another place I found that was in writing my hiking guide because the publisher, we had very strict, like, "Here's what each trail should look like, here's the information you need to put in there." But
Hmm.
then there's room in the introductions, there's room in little sidebars, to kind of be more creative and get to
Hmm.
choose, like, what do I wanna talk about from this area? What enhances the experience of hiking in this area? So getting to choose, like, yeah, topics like geology and, like, why this area is so interesting
Hmm.
geologically, and the plants and the animals that live here, and the wind. There's like, the Washoe Zephyr comes through here, and that's, um, a super huge topic, like, Mark Twain writes about that. So getting to have the freedom to explore things like that I'm super curious about while I'm hiking and while I'm out there, and
Hmm.
have learned through that, that I now get to share with other people.
Okay. I'm curious how the opportunity to pursue this book came about. Is it actively like, hey, there's an opportunity to write a book. I think I want to do it. I know I can do it. Or did somebody come to you and say, hey, Helena, there's this opportunity. You should check it out. How did this evolve? And I'm also curious how long it took you to do the research for the book and to the point it was published.
Yeah, so I feel very fortunate. I was actually found by Mountaineers Books, which is a publisher,
Mhm,
through the OWAA, being one of the artists listed on their directory. So they found me through there and reached out to me. And when it came across the
sweet.
desk, the editor was like, I'm so sorry for cold calling you, but would this be something?" I was like, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. At the time, I had just finished interviewing the county's trails program manager, which is a new position that the county hired
Mhm,
um, at the time very recently. And, so I was already invested in learning about the trail system locally
mhm,
and the plan for the trails locally, and was already meeting people that were building,
mhm.
in the area. So it kind of felt like a very, serendipitous moment to get that
Okay.
email from her. Then in the research, so I had a list of trails. It was like 70 plus trails that I just had off the top of my head of like, here are places that I like, that I hear other people like, that I've seen in books, that I think we should include. And then had to whittle that down by almost half. So
Mhm,
42 trails made it into the book. But
mm.
from the first hike research hike to submitting the final copy of the book was about 6 months, 6 months in that time.
Well, that seems reasonable.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was definitely stressful.
That
Um,
I could imagine. It's like pursuing graduate school, or the last time I was did professional development work. I mean, there's this goal that you leave the train station to pursue this goal, and somewhere in the distant future is the next station, and you're getting there. But it's sometimes you wonder, what did I sign up for? But can imagine that. Have you learned about writing this book, and how, for example, the state of Nevada, their role in the stewardship of, or the county, or the city of Reno, and its the area around Reno, the stewardship of these trails, and making sure they're taken care of, they're open to address any issues of accessibility and protection of the resources, whether it would be flowers, fauna, or just leave no trace. Take a picture, don't take a flower. Leave the rock where it's at. What did you learn about how the state and local government is basically stewarding these types of resources, so that they're there for the next generation?
yeah, I think one thing about trails that I didn't necessarily understand before I started researching this book, and I actually spent the last 2 summers working on a trail crew for the Tahoe Rim Trail Association. And
Hmm.
so before even, like, getting into that work, I didn't realize how much effort goes into trails, from the proposals, the planning, the permits, coordination with all of the agencies. In Reno, specifically, we have Bureau of Land Management land, we have U.S. Forest Service land, we have county land, city land, Reno and Sparks. It's so many different ownerships, and so many different agencies to coordinate with. So there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Hmm.
And here in the Reno area, a lot of the people who are building and planning trails are part of volunteer organizations.
Okay.
So there's organizations like the Biggest Little Trail Stewardship, which builds a lot of bike trails, especially over on Peavine Mountain, which is like on the north part of town. And they're volunteer. It's all volunteer.
Hmm.
Uh, and the work that they put in to all the planning, all of the boots on the ground, digging into the dirt, creating the tread, maintaining those trails, it's an incredible amount of work. And trails definitely need volunteer help and volunteer hours.
Okay.
So volunteer having trails be built by volunteers is not specific to this region. It's
Right.
everywhere. So if
Right.
you live near a trail, most likely a lot of that work has come from volunteer organizations, people who are not being paid, people who are part of the community who want to see this resource being built,
Hmm.
who understand the value of it, who understand how important it is to create sustainable trails. So I would highly encourage everyone who's listening, who's ever used a trail for anything from walking your dog to mountain biking, or even ski touring, even though you're not technically on a dirt path, to go and find whatever organizations are building and maintaining trails and go help them because
I
they
love
need.
that. I love that. And there's a feature at the end of my podcast episode called Insight to Go, which is what do you want to leave our listeners with? And I think you've just done that very effectively. Is the trails aren't going to take care of themselves. Maybe the state and local government will help support it. They bought into it, but you need that volunteer organization to keep it sustainable and to
Yeah.
steward it year after year. So I love that you shared that. I would also love if we could share with our listeners a little bit of your work, if you're okay with that. I'm going to go ahead and assuming technology works, and I've got to get my little share button here. There we go. And thought we could go to let me just close that for 1 second, is go to your portfolio page because there's some really cool content out there. You've got a nice background of and your profile photo there. I love that. I love just being next to water I'm sold.
Yeah.
All right. So we should be seeing your this looks like it's authory. That's like specific for freelance writers and journalists to kind of promote their work, looks like.
Yeah, it's a great site. If there are any freelance writers listening, it's an awesome site that auto publishes wherever your byline is if you've uploaded that particular source before. So with
Okay.
my monthly column, like from Reno News and Review, it automatically puts it up here every month, which is so nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, one less thing on the checklist to do.
I wish my podcast, well, actually, my podcast could do that. I just haven't done it yet. So that's in my proverbial to-do list every year these days. But so tell us a little, take us on a brief tour here. We've got published content, photography, and photo shoots, and the all important gear review so that you're prepared for being out there. So take us on a little tour here. What are we looking at?
Yeah, yeah. So the first couple of major things, Reno News and Review, that's been again, I've been kind of coming off of trail work over the season. So it was kind of a slow summer for me in terms of published work, but Reno News and Review is one that I work with regularly. Save the Redwood League is also an organization that I work with regularly. So this latest article for them is about a new bill that California passed recently, I believe in October of
Mhm.
2025, that opens up private land to be able to host uh, small, low impact camping.
Oh,
So it's kind of an interesting bill. It's an opt-in for counties, and some counties are considering it at the moment. Some counties are not,
okay.
but it's kind of trying to strike the balance between providing more access to people who are feeling the crunch of reservations,
Right.
which have been notoriously hard to grab in the last couple of years, and then
Right.
also being able to provide some additional income for farms, ranches,
Mhm.
people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we probably would go down a rabbit hole, but I was thinking, I mean, just COVID itself, and most recently, the Doge cuts have severely impact communities of having the necessary funds to take care of that location, and now having to look for other ways to fund that resource and keep it available and safe. So, I mean, all these topics kind of intersect with each other in some way.
It is interesting, yeah, and that's something that I've talked with people while working on trails about how right now it's really scary with federal cuts, and it's
Hmm.
kind of up again, like, to volunteers and to nonprofits to kind of bridge a gap that they shouldn't have to bridge, but yeah, volunteer
Okay.
and donate. Those are
Yes, definitely.
really
Okay.
important, right?
So we've got definitely a very nice list. You've got links that'll take you to the actual article, which is nice. And this is beautiful. And I hope, by the way, as a former intern of the OWAA, you've kept up your membership and you're submitting some of these to our excellence in craft competition.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
hint, hint. But okay, very nice. Now you have some photography and photo shoots here. Let's see what's here. I
Yeah.
love just getting out to nature, and besides my proverbial cup of coffee in the morning, and I love taking pictures in the scenery.
I do too, and I'm very proud to say that all of the photos in my hiking guide, under that tab there, photography for urban trails, all of the photos in that book were actually taken by me. Besides, there's a bird scavenger hunt, and those were contributed by local birders. But
Okay.
everything else in the book is 100% mine, and it was one of the more enjoyable parts of writing the book was getting out and getting to, um, yeah, have those days where it's cloudy, like finding the nice lighting, getting the best angles, getting to be creative in that way, while writing the book. So
Very
these are
nice.
really
Very
and these
nice.
are
I mean, these are photos that I would be taking, and you've got them, and you've done a great job. These are beautiful. I love this.
oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. And the last piece here, if we go back, and I know we had the gear review.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so
when you're out on the trail and you just moved to Reno, you want to get outside, you just you to pick up a copy of your book. What's the one or two pieces of must-have equipment that this newbie needs to have so that it makes this experience as enjoyable and as safe as possible?
yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with gear because it can be quite restrictive, and I
Yeah.
think that a lot of the trails, especially the trails in my guide, they're not as steep, they're a little bit more beginner friendly. So I would say if you wanna get out there, especially for
Okay.
hiking. If you wanna be a little more comfortable in inclement weather, like when it's really windy, when it's really cold,
Yeah.
investing a good layering system is
Okay.
probably my next thing, and then, I mean, I've gone out in shoes that have holes in them, I've gone out in brand new trail runner shoes, I've gone out in waterproof boots, and finding good footwear is also very important, but
Mhm.
again, it can be very expensive. You can spend almost $200 on a new pair of boots,
Yeah.
so certainly don't let that be a restriction for you getting
Okay.
outside. Well,
Okay. Very nice. And I see from this page, besides the links to our published content, photography, and gear, you've got links back to LinkedIn. Looks like there's Instagram, X, Facebook, and I forget what that one is. What is that?
oh, TikTok,
TikTok.
yeah.
Okay, I'm too old for TikTok, but we'll have a link. We will definitely let the folks know where to go to learn more about you. Which, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and just stop sharing. Thank you for taking us on this brief tour. I appreciate that, and
Yeah, thank you.
stop sharing here. So, which begs the question. Actually, before I ask this question about the best ways to get to know more about you and your work, besides the website, what are your plans now? I mean, how do you see your career kind of evolving so that you are staying in the game, being the outdoor focus, the nature conservation, sustainability? How do you see your career continuing to evolve?
Yeah, so I think, spending the last 2 summers doing trail work has really sparked an interest in being a little bit more directly tied to conservation work, more hands in the ground.
Mm,
So I am actually pursuing right now a master's in forestry.
mm,
So I'm applying to grad school at the moment, and I would love to be part of climate research, ecology research, adaptation, reforestation research. And there's a lot of really, really interesting research happening right now in the Sierra from University of Nevada, Reno. They're
okay.
doing interesting white bark pine research, which is very important as one of our high elevation tree species. So I would love to explore conservation in a more hands-on role like that, of course, with the goal of keeping writing always and being
Uh,
able to translate some of that more technical knowledge into articles like for Reno News and Review, keeping the public informed about what's
mhm.
happening, what's important, and how to how to help out.
I love that, and the fact that you can go to school right in your backyard, that's wonderful. So, you get the
Yeah,
best of all worlds there. Before we head out, your faithful companion, did you say what her name was?
lady.
Lady, okay. I'm a very opportunistic, podcaster, Helena, so in addition to, a headshot for our banners of you, love to have some shots of you and Lady doing what you enjoy doing the most, getting out there, and maybe some samples of your photos so we can include those on our banners and in our show notes if you're okay with that. I figure
Yeah.
I'd get that ask out of the way. But just as a reminder, for our listeners, if they want to learn more about you, and your great work, where are the best places for them to go?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Goul, which is GHOUL.YOU.MEANO. It's a phonetic spelling of my last name,
Thank you for
Guglielmino.
that, by the way.
Yeah, of course. You can find me there. Of course, you can find me at my work in my portfolio, which updates automatically, which we love, which is authorly.com/Helena Guglielmino, which is also linked in my Instagram. And then you can find me on LinkedIn at Helena Guglielmino.
Excellent. Well, we will provide all those backlinks in our show notes. We'll include a backlink to your book page so folks can learn more about your urban trails book and just the great work. And I'm hoping that I will get up to your neck of the woods in the coming months. I hope you and I perhaps get a chance to have a cup of coffee somewhere. I'm sure there's some great
Okay.
coffee shops
Great
uh,
coffee.
in
Yeah.
uh, in the Reno Tahoe area, and the coffee's on me or tea if that's what you prefer. But Elena, it's been great to have you on the podcast. It's been fantastic to catch up with you. I think 2022 was the last time, and just it's wonderful to see how you're evolving and how your career is taking off, and now you're going to get ready to go back to grad school and continue to flourish. So thank you for spending time with our listeners and reacquainting us with the great work that you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, this was great. And definitely let me know if you make it up here.
Sounds like a plan. Listen, stay in the line. We're going to do a quick close, and then you and I can have a final chat. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right, folks. We have just been chatting with Helena Guglielmino. She is a author, freelance writer, outdoor enthusiast, also a member of the Outdoor Writers Association of America, the OWAA. I had the great pleasure to meeting with her when she had her internship back in 2022 as part of, at the time, Toyota's Let's Go Places scholarship that they use to support our programming at the OWAA. Really great to catch up with her and hear about her evolution since graduating college and doing the internship, and really just the great writing she's doing locally in the Reno area. And of course, we're very excited about her new book, which I'm sure will be the first of many, Urban Trails, Reno, Galena, North Valley, Washoe Valley. I hope I pronounced that right. City Parks, which was published this past October. Now, we're going to provide all the backlinks to Helena's website, and her author page, and also to her social sites on Instagram and on LinkedIn as well. As for us, you can find us on our website, outdooradventureseries.com. We're also on LinkedIn and Facebook on our Outdoor Adventure Series pages. The YouTube of this interview will be up on our YouTube page, Outdoor Adventure Series, and that'll include the tour that Helena took us on of her author site. And of course, you can listen to this episode wherever you get your podcast from, on whatever platform, and we look forward to having you join us on a future episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.